Fresh cut. Y'all see the vibes? All right. I know I've been on a little hiatus, but I just want to stop in and give y'all my prediction on the Benavidez versus David Morrell fight that's happening tonight. Now, I know a lot of people have been in my comments asking who I got, who do I think is going to win. Been talking to guys, and I've been going back and forth. I'm not going to lie. I think this is probably one of the biggest 50-50 fights that we are going to see this year, right? First off, let's start off with David Benavidez. Obviously, we know his track record. We know what he's did last year. He beat Andrade. He beat Caleb Plant. He has a pretty decorated resume as of right now. Obviously, he was the youngest light heavyweight champion, or was it at 160? The youngest ever at 20 years old, where he won a belt there. Everybody knows David Benavidez. People are seeing him as like the next big star, especially the next big Mexican star in boxing. Now, the unknown is David Morrell. Now, when I say unknown, I don't mean that David Morrell is unknown. I feel like everyone knows him in the boxing world. Pure boxing fans, they know David Morrell. He's a Cuban guy, right? People who don't know Cubans, they fight in the amateurs for a very long time. Guys like Rigondeaux, guys like Andy Cruz, these guys have really decorated amateur careers. Now, the difference between amateur and pro in the United States and in other states, other countries, they take pride in it, right? So guys are pro till they're 35, 40. So Morrell, he's been an amateur for a pretty long time. So when people are looking at the record, they're like, how does he only have 13 fights? How is he fighting a guy of Benavidez caliber? David Morrell is seen as one of the greatest Cuban amateurs to ever touch the sport, right? So I think the experience, I don't think that he has the experience in the pros that people think, but I think that that decorated amateur experience that he does have, I don't think that you can underrate it. I think he was really good in the amateurs. He's really good in the pros. But I think that him going up against a talent like David Benavidez is going to bring the best out of him, which is why I think this is a 50-50 fight. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, I think Benavidez is going to win. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was on the fence for like I was saying Benavidez is a monster, right? He's being avoided by Canelo. Nobody can beat him, especially how I seen how he did Andrade. I was a big Boo Boo fan. I'm like, Boo Boo, people were scared to fight him. He's not getting the fights. But when I saw him basically eat every shot that Boo Boo threw, I'm like, maybe he's for real. Now, Morrell, after watching a lot more tape of him, I would say Morrell is going to be the best opponent that Benavidez has ever fought. Not even just playing skill-wise, but size. So one thing that I noticed when I went back and I'm looking at Benavidez opponents, most of them are all significantly smaller than him. The only guy who wasn't significantly smaller was the last guy he fought, which was his first fight at 175. Volzdead, right? Now, as we recall, what happened in that fight? He didn't look as dominant. He didn't get a knockdown. It was almost like he was winning. He was beating him up. But it wasn't that prime Benavidez that's just beating the hell out of somebody. And I think, obviously, he said that he had broken knuckle. He had stitches over his eye. He had to do a lot. So I'm like, okay, I think every fighter should be given some grace fights, right? Camps are long. They're grueling. 8 weeks, 10 weeks, you're sparring. You're going to get injuries. You're going to get cuts. Every fighter should be awarded 2 to 3 grace fights, right? Where something is hurt. So I'm not holding that against Benavidez. Now I look at Morrell, I think he's a wild card. I don't think no one has seen Morrell at his best, right? I think he has a crazy amount of talent. When you talk about speed, I think he's faster than Benavidez. When you talk about power, I think Benavidez carries the higher punch output. He's very similar to Zepeda, right? At 135. Zepeda, he knocks guys out because of his activity, right? He's putting guys down because of his activity. Now, when we talk about pure punch power, I think that leans on the side of Morrell, right? I've got guys that told me they sparred Morrell and he can crack. He can really crack. Now, Benavidez can crack too, but obviously in boxing, there's 2 different types of cracking. You got the crack where, boom, night, Gervonta Davis type crack. And then you got the crack where, a dude gonna hit you 10 times and you might not go night, but you're going to wake up the next morning with a headache. You're going to have a concussion. I think they both got 2 different types of power, but I think the power is on Morrell's side as far as the one-punch power, right? Now, I don't want to sit here all day and just go through side by side, like what one has and what one doesn't have. I think that's the beauty of the fight. That's what makes the fight 50-50. We truly do not know, right? Morrell didn't look that good in his last fight either against Hot Rod. Everybody was saying, is the weight too big for Morrell? But honestly, I think Cubans, they're cocky fighters. Most of the time when they get in the ring, their talent and skill level is so far above the guy that they're facing, that they can get in there and they can get bored easily, or they can get in there, they might just, play around, dance, throw a jab, and they want to entertain the crowd. I think Morrell has taken this camp, he's taking this fight as if this is the one fight that I have where I'm about to put everything on display. And I think if Morrell goes in there and he sits on his back foot and he counters and he preserves his energy well and he takes the flurry from Benavidez for the first 4 to 5 rounds, if he knows that he can take that power, I think it might get a little scary for Benavidez. But on the flip side, I think if he can't take his power, Benavidez might walk right through him. But I also think if Benavidez is putting his pressure on Morrell, it's going to leave himself open to get hit. And I would really be interested to see how Benavidez responds when he's being hit by somebody his size with a crazy amount of power. We can all agree that this is probably going to be the fastest, strongest, biggest guy that Benavidez has fought, vice versa. This is going to be the fastest, strongest, biggest guy that Morrell has fought. All in all, this is one of the fights where I'm going to call a stay back fight. I'm staying off the bet slips. I'm staying out of the combos. Personally, I'm a Benavidez fan. I would love to see him win, but David Morrell has also gained a new fan in me. After watching his tape, watching his footwork, watching how he is in the gym, he's a workaholic. I'm a fan of David Morrell too. So no matter whose hand is raised tonight, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, wow, I wanted him to win. I'm just happy that we're getting this fight February 1st to kick off 2025. So go Benavidez, go Morrell. Let's put on a show tonight. It's your boy Rico. Let's go. Let's get it.